Hey guys, it's Tim. Wanted to do a video kind of highlighting the endgame barbarian world that I've found myself in case you're wondering about starting a barbarian yourself, just to kind of see what it's all about. The really cool thing about barbarians in Season 3 now is they have several different sets to choose from. You have the Raycore set, which is the Furious Charge build. You have the Earthquake set, which is the Earthquake Leap Attack build. And now you have the Immortal Kings, the new Immortal Kings, new and improved, and also you have the brand new Wrath of the Waste set, which is the Whirlwind build. So the ultimate endgame build, it seems right now for barbarians, is the Wrath of the Waste build. That's the main focus, but a lot of people are combining it with some Immortal Kings to do high-level greater rifts and whatnot. So I wanted to kind of show you how that works. Again, in case you're wondering about starting a barbarian yourself, this is what you have in store. So first, let's kind of go over the general items that make the set work. First is going to be your 6-piece Wrath of the Waste. Now, however you get to that 6-piece is fine. There are only 6 items, but of course with the Ring of Royal Grandeur, you can only use, or you can use down to 5 to get the 6-piece if you want. Let's take a look at the actual bonuses. 2-piece, increase the damage of Rend by 500% and its duration by 15%. Kind of cool. 4-piece, during Whirlwind, you gain 40% damage reduction. That's obviously important if you're running, well, Torment 6 all the way up to Greater Rift Infinity. Really important to have your damage mitigation. That becomes, especially in the higher Greater Rifts, one of the most important factors of whether or not you're going to successfully get through it. Is, are you one-shot by everything that touches you? So that helps to prevent that. 6-piece, Whirlwind gains the effect of Dust Devil's rune, and Dust Devil's damage is increased by 2,500% weapon damage, so that's very significant. Let's take a look at the actual rune. Dust Devils generate harsh tornadoes that deal 120% weapon damage, so bumping that up by up to 2,500% weapon damage is pretty significant. They do become a huge source of your damage when you're whirlwinding, so that is the Whirlwind build. As you can imagine, the general strategy behind a Whirlwind build is to get your Wrath or your Fury generation up enough that you can just Whirlwind indefinitely without having to stop and generating tons and tons of Dust Devils. And so let me kind of show you my overall build when I'm doing just maybe Torment 6 rifts. When I just farm Torment 6 rifts, it's an extremely fast build. You can plow through rifts, Torment 6, and even greater rifts extremely fast, farm up tons of items, tons of blood shards. It is definitely a farming build. And so my overall build is 6-piece Raycores. I don't use the Ring of Royal Grandeur. I actually use just a different ring, not that important, but and then I use the Convention of the Elements, not really that relevant. But so you have the 6-piece Wrath of the Waste, and then I also use the new and improved Bolcathos set too, Bolcathos Oath. The 2-piece bonus is now increased Fury generation by 10, and during Whirlwind you gain 30% increased attack speed and movement speed. So that's going to help you fly through those Torment 6 rifts, whirlwinding through the whole way, generating tons of Dust Devils and killing everything. So these are definitely my farming weapons. Now, they're not that good. The one of them's ancient, so that's cool. The other one is really not all that good, and so I don't really use them when I'm doing greater rifts. I'll show you what I use in greater rifts here in just a minute. But these are amazing in Torment 6, so I'll show some video of going through a Torment 6 rift extremely fast with this sort of build here. When it comes to passives, what you want to focus on is whatever's going to help you stay at as high on Fury as possible. You never want to run out of Fury because then you're just kind of stuck. If you'll notice down on my skill bar, I don't even have any Fury generating skills. I just have Whirlwind, Rend for my main attacks. And then I use Warcry, Battle Rage for the damage, for the defense, and Fury generation as well. This is unique to the Immortal King set, so usually what I'll have in the 3rd slot is the Marathon Sprint skill. And then number 4 is just Wrath of the Berserker for extra damage on like Rift Guardians and whatnot. So moving on here, that's the normal Torment 6 Wrath of the Waste Whirlwind build. The items beyond that really don't make a big difference. I use the belt here, the Chilanix chain, just to increase my movement speed so I can whirlwind through rifts even faster. The rings aren't super important, just use the ones that give you the most damage. If you have a restraint and focus, that could be really good too. I got a cool ancient convention of the elements, but the bad thing is the actual bonus on it didn't roll very well, so it's only 161%, which is kind of a bummer. The rest of the stats rolled okay, I guess. And then this one, I've just been using this Band of Hollow Whispers. Nothing very special, but it gives me crit damage, crit chance, and a socket for my legendary gem. And then also I do have a Hellfire Amulet. So if you can farm up one of those, go for it. Otherwise, just use your best amulet. So nothing too important in those slots. And then when it comes to the bracers, use Reaper's Wraps, especially if you're just doing Torment 6 stuff. The primary resource generating ability on that Reaper's Wraps is amazing as a Whirlwind Barbarian. So that helps you keep your Fury up to maximum, never have a problem continuing to Whirlwind through everything. Alright, so moving on from that, that's Torment 6, but what if you want to go higher? What if you want to start to challenge the Greater Rift leaderboards, right? Well, what most people seem to be doing is they seem to be combining the Wrath of the Waste set with the Immortal King set. So let's check out the Immortal King set. 2-piece set, call the Ancients last until they die. Pretty cool. 4-piece, reduce the cooldown of Wrath of the Berserker and call the Ancients by 3 seconds for every 10 Fury you spend with an attack. And the 6-piece bonus is nice, but it does not come into play because you don't actually activate it. Let me go ahead and throw the items on here. I use the belt, the weapon, and then the gauntlets. But the gauntlets could be any item. It could be the helm, it could be the vest, or the boots, whatever you wanted to use. And so then I also use the Boulder Breaker too. So, alright, so I have 4-piece activated. So now my Call the Ancients last until they die. And also when they attack, they reduce the cooldown of my Wrath of the Berserker and Call the Ancients too. So now you have a little bit more choice here when it comes to your Call the Ancients. I'm using Ancient's Fury right now, which allows me to gain 4 Fury every time an Ancient deals damage. So when I get rid of my Bolcathos weapons, my Fury generation goes down dramatically. Actually by 10 per second, right? And so I need to find a way to stay up on Fury, especially if I'm doing Greater Rifts and then I start using passives that are more geared toward defense. I'm losing some of my Fury generation. So using the Call of the Ancients with the Ancient's Fury rune is a really nice way to keep your Fury generation up so you can continue to Whirlwind through the entire Rift without stopping. So, but the other option is if you don't have problems with Fury, another one that I kind of like is the Together as One. 50% of all damage dealt to you is instead divided evenly between the Ancients. That's a really nice defensive one. 50%, that's like a unity effect right there, right? And so that's kind of nice. The thing to watch out for is your Ancients can still die. And so if you're splitting 50% and you're just going through there not caring about how much damage you're taking, you could be killing your Ancients, and if they're on cooldown and you hit a pack of monsters and they and then they die, you could be suddenly taking 100% of your damage again, and then they're useless. So just be careful of that. It won't always happen, but it can happen. But beyond that, nothing too fancy. Each point of Fury you spend heals you and your Ancients for about 1,000 life. Not a big deal. And enemies hit by Ancients are chilled for 2 seconds, have a 10% increased chance to be critically hit, and the Ancients just deal more damage. So nothing too fancy. I'd recommend going with Ancient's Fury just to start, just to make sure that you're not going to be Fury starved. And if you are not Fury starved and you want to push higher Greater Rifts, give that Together as One a shot. See if that's going to be okay for you. What I'm using right now when I do Greater Rifts is going to be Ruthless, just for the extra damage, Rampage, and then Superstition. I use Superstition because it's a really good defensive ability, and I still have some problems dying. Ruthless just for the extra damage, same with Rampage too. But the really nice thing about Barbarians right now is you have a lot of different choices with these. You can use Brawler. Brawler's pretty decent. Relentless has always been pretty good as like a damage reduction sort of ability. Berserker Rage, so if you always have enough Fury, near maximum Fury, Berserker Rage is probably a really good idea, because an extra 25% damage, that's huge. You don't get that from hardly any other passive skill. Okay, so those are the general skills. You want to use your Rend, you want to use your Whirlwind. Always Wrath of the Berserker, especially if you have the Ancients and with the Immortal King set, they reduce your Wrath of Berserker cooldown. You pop that thing on every elite pack that you come across, or even normal monsters if you really want to, because it's always up. It's almost always up 100% of the time, or near 100% of the time, as long as you're always in combat. The other thing is Warcry. You have a choice with Warcry. I'm using Charge just for the extra Fury, but you can use Impunity. It's really good defensively, and a couple of the other ones are decent, but I usually switch between Impunity and Charge. When it comes to Battle Rage, I use Bloodshed. My critical hits then cause more damage. That's kind of nice. Like you're whirlwinding, doing a bunch of like area damage, and Battle Rage is helping you do even more. And plus, it just increases your damage overall. And that's really about it. With Whirlwind, you can use Blood Fury if you don't have Fury problems. Or I'm sorry, Blood Funnel if you don't have Fury problems. If you do have Fury problems, you can use Wind Shear. That's what I used right when I got the set because I was Fury starved a lot. So I started to use Wind Shear, and that was great. But then once I kind of got out of the need to be generating that much Fury because I wasn't always Fury starved, then I just switched to Blood Funnel for the extra survivability because it heals me. And then when it comes to Rend, Bloodbath seems to be pretty good. But you have a lot of different choices. It kind of depends too, like if your bracers or your rings or your amulets have any plus elemental damage, you can certainly, just kind of focus on that. You can use cold if you have extra cold skills, etc., etc. So, the one thing I kind of like about the build is you are free to choose a lot still within the basic structure based on your actual items. One thing I don't like about it is you're just going to be whirlwinding constantly with a rend occasionally, so it does get kind of boring. But as far as the legendary gems go, I have not put a lot of work into this. Remember, this character is probably about maybe 20 hours old or so. I have not put a lot of time into leveling up my legendary gems, and so I'm using the Taiguk, which since I'm constantly whirlwinding, that Taiguk is going to be up pretty much constantly. So that's especially once I level it up, that's going to be a really huge bonus both to my attack and to my defense with that level 25 ability too. Also just using Bane of the Powerful in my other ring just for the extra 20% whenever I kill an elite pack. And also Pain Enhancer right now. You can go a couple different ways too. I've seen some barbarians use the Wreath of Lightning. You can use a poison one, I suppose. You can use defensive ones. That Esoteric Alteration is a really popular one, just because it's really good defensively to protect against non-physical attacks. So feel free to use whatever you want there. You do have a lot of freedom to kind of pick and choose your skills, pick and choose your items here and there. But that seems to be a pretty effective build that a lot of people are using to get to very high grade rifts. So anyways, guys, I just kind of wanted to show you what I've found so far to be the builds that are pretty effective, pretty fun as a Whirlwind Barbarian. Let me know what you think. Is this the playstyle that you've been craving ever since they nerfed Whirlwind Barbarians back with Diablo 3 Classic? Are you like super pumped that they actually have this set in here and Whirlwind is now is now not only viable but the best build for Barbarians right now? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.